Have you ever wondered what could possibly make a celebrated hero just turn their back on the world? Today, we're unpacking the story of Talenor Duskwind, a man who literally traded his decorated armor for centuries of solitude. We're going to explore the journey that took him from a loyal soldier to a reclusive sentinel.
So yeah, this is the big question at the heart of Talenor's story. We usually picture heroes charging into battle, embracing the world's problems head-on. Talenor's path, it's completely different. To really get a handle on who this guy is, we have to dig into what could make someone with such a rock-solid sense of duty simply walk away.
And to understand the Exile, you got to go back to the beginning. Before all those centuries of silence, Talenor was a soldier. His entire identity, everything he was forged by his duty to the banners of Thracia.
In those chaotic years right after the Great Calamity, Talenor was pretty much the perfect soldier, a total pillar of strength, defending a nation that was in pieces. He lived by a strict code of honor, discipline, and above all, unwavering loyalty to Thracia. In a lot of ways, he was the very ideal they claimed to represent. But that shining ideal he was fighting for, well, it started to tarnish. He began to see the cracks in that perfect image, uncovering a bitter truth they called the noble lie. You can just imagine how this conflict was tearing him apart. The ideals he swore to protect, honor, discipline, those noble banners, they were a world away from the reality he was starting to see. That honor was just a mask for a deeply elitist culture. The discipline was hiding a rot that was eating the nation from the inside out. And while those banners flew high and proud, the people on the ground were suffering in the shadows.
Now, this wasn't some snap decision. It was a slow, painful process of disillusionment. Faced with the truth he just couldn't ignore anymore, he made a choice. He walked away from his post, his city, and the only life he'd ever known, laying down his spear for good.
And this decision, this kicks off a whole new chapter for him, one that's all about absolute quiet. He leaves the world of men and politics far behind, entering a period of self-imposed exile that came to be known as the Great Silence.
And his exile wasn't for a year or even a decade. No, we're talking centuries. He basically became a ghost, a myth whispered on the wind. Think about it. Entire empires rose to glory and then crumbled to dust, and all that time, Talenor was hidden away in the wilds, completely forgotten by history.
So, what did he even do for all that time? Well, he found a new purpose. He wasn't a soldier anymore. He became a part of the natural world itself. He hunted, he meditated, and he found a kind of peace in the mountains and forests that the so-called civilized world could never, ever offer.
For centuries, this was his entire existence, just complete, unbroken solitude. But even the deepest silence can be shattered. And for Talenor, it was broken by the most unexpected companion you could imagine. Yep, after centuries all by himself, a small, trembling creature just wanders into his life. By all rights, it should have been terrified and run away, but it didn't. And that simple act of trust was about to be the end of his total isolation. It all started with that one simple encounter. The pup, who he ended up naming Phelan, just started following him. And as the seasons turned, their bond got deeper and deeper. And something that Talenor had given up on centuries ago was reborn. True companionship, totally free from all the lies and politics of his past.
But this newfound peace, well, it wasn't destined to last. A new threat started to creep in, not from the world of men, but from the land itself, and it's forcing him into a very unwilling return. His sanctuary was being violated. The very forest that had given him all that peace began to twist and warp. Strange creatures started prowling in the shadows. The natural rhythms of life fell into chaos, and even the mountains themselves seemed to grow restless. The only home he had known for centuries was basically kicking him out.
But let's be crystal clear about something. He is not returning to the world to be a hero. He isn't looking for glory or fame or even redemption for walking away all those centuries ago. No, his goal is singular and deeply personal. He just wants to restore the natural balance so he can go back to being left alone. That's it.
And that leaves us with this final, really fascinating question. Talenor mastered the art of solitude, of completely removing himself from the world's problems. But now, to save that very solitude, he has to re-engage with the world knowledge corrupts him. It's a powerful paradox, and the answer is going to define the next chapter of the Sentinel's exile.